I needed to I needed to make this one for me because I was starting to get you know, bored with my mission. I've been not making videos and I've been working on my vegan cross book, Flora, the vegan cross. And I have about well I went down to Staples and I printed up 80 pages. Cost me $15. Um, I'm a little bit stuck talking about Abraham. I went through a bunch of stuff and then pretty much started with the characters in Genesis and trying to display an overarching trend toward the anti-butcherous, even just within Genesis. But I'm stuck because I just want to say everything all at once. And I'm also stuck because, to be honest, I'd rather not be. I don't know. I like learning about the Bible. Um, but trying to write that book, I'm actually trying to engage with the world. I'm not trying to prove I know something. You know, if it's a successful book, it will ruin my life. Um, but there's a truth that's trying to come out of me, and when I printed it up, and read it, I was like, "This is complete shit." A little discouraging. So, but I keep thinking, like I'm throwing clay, like I'm a potter at the wheel, and the pot, the vessel I'm trying to sculpt is so large that it's going to take so much clay that I just keep having to throw huge clumps at the wheel, just trying to amass enough stuff to work with. And that gives me, just that metaphor gives me what little impetus I have to drive forward. And there's a lot more I want to say. I haven't even scraped the surface. But there's so much more I need to learn. Every new thing I learn, it's like I gotta rewrite everything. But I feel pretty good about what I have. Anyway, to make a long story long, I'd rather, I guess, spend my time thinking about eternity. Um, and a lot of people are into like in theoretical physics or math, philosophy, where those things meet up. The history and philosophy of, I don't know, math and physics as it relates to existence, as it relates to theology or the mythos. I'm interested in eternity and atemporalism. So yeah, like I guess what I was saying is like, because a lot of people talk about this dimension, that dimension, or wormholes, or going here or there, or every time an event happens, there's essentially infinite new multiverses and all these other versions of ourselves. People think about warping or going to some different dimension or ascending to some higher plane of existence or ascending to a new form of a vibrational being. And that's good. Don't hear a lot on about atemporalism as much. Peering through time, because to contemplate eternity is to contemplate God, and to contemplate God is to contemplate eternity, and eternity is essentially a contemplative object. It seems as though, some math folk have tried to pin that type of thing down in dealing with infinities. But like eternity, which is almost completely atemporal, completely atemporal. There are types of atemporality that are not eternal, because eternal atemporality is omni-temporality. Though, I would say I've heard it suggested before and I can't remember where. But that there is, and I guess I'd like to offer my own experiential experience has convinced me that there is a kind of sequentiality within eternity, and it's much more will dependent, a will driven sequentiality. Will maybe is guided by desire. Things happen, and then another things happen. But not like it does here. So these are the things I'd rather explore. I call, because there's eternal atemporality, eternal timelessness, which is eternal all time, here, there, elsewhere. But if we consider the idea of the soul, and that's a big part of God that doesn't get talked about. The Trinity gets talked about, but like the soul, the individual God, the individual, the ego. The ego gets trashed, but it's really, we confuse the ego and the persona. Ego gets trashed. Like, you're not supposed to have an identity. Like an identity is wrong. when on the other side, it's no, you are wrong about your identity, get your identity right. We're wrong. I'm wrong about who I am. You are wrong about who you are. That's the problem. Not that you are so and so, such and such. Not that I am so and so, such and such. But that, you know, so the idea is like, I'm so and so, such and such. Oh, that's your problem. You're not so and so, such and such. You're this, you're that. You're all things. So then you let go of your false self instead of finding, you know, your identity, what you are. And I understand, and I don't, when I say identity, I don't necessarily mean, you know, humanoid or anthropomorphic, even though it's natural to anthropomorphize, you know. I just mean like a center, you know, before you were I am. I am before all. Before all else, I am, right? That's the epitome, the epitome of individuality, individuation. The dividing, the incision, the cutting, divided, in. Not divided from, not divided, not dividuated, not dividuated, not dialect, dialecticized, in dialecticized, in dividuated, in cut, like a spiral, cutting the form of a snail's hip, cutting the cutting the energetic form of a snail shell within yourself. You know, this internal spiral ham of energy, of force, of life. Individuation. I am this spiral. I reach here, from here. So anyway, the idea of God, however big, however small, however involved or not involved in the material world, the central idea is that God have a soul. Soul, S-O-U-L, soul, S-O-L.